If you work in middle management, you know that this can sometimes be a tricky spot to be in when it comes to your career development. So today I want to talk about the 4 ways that you can build authority for your personal brand without a promotion. Grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. Being a middle manager can sometimes be tricky. If you have been in your organization for a while, maybe you're not getting the type of credit that you were once used to when you were a young gun starting out in your position. And being in the position that you are as well maybe means that you're not quite getting the recognition and all of the glory that sometimes seems to be heaped on those in more senior roles. Perhaps all of that hard work that you are putting in behind the scenes is being platformed by other people, and you're not really getting much of that recognition that you might be seeking to advance your career. But being a middle manager also has some really exciting opportunities as well in that space for you to develop your career. So today I want to dive into what those opportunities can be for you. Let's dive into my tip number 1. Tip number 1 is to leverage LinkedIn. As I have said on this channel many times, LinkedIn is the world's largest social networking platform for professionals. So if you aren't leveraging LinkedIn to its full potential, then you're missing out on this opportunity to develop your career on there. It could be that you are perhaps in an organization or in a role that you're maybe not getting the recognition that you would like to see in your workplace. And the thing about LinkedIn is that it gives you that opportunity to prove yourself in a different space. When you are able to show to your workplace that you are valuable to your industry as a whole, then you provide more value to your workplace in return. So while you might not necessarily have opportunities that you might be seeking in your current role, maybe your role doesn't challenge you to the extent that you would like to, LinkedIn is a place where you can control the narrative of your professional brand in a more exciting way. You can decide what topics interest you, what you want to add to the conversation in, and it allows you to just show the depth of your expertise on a platform where you may not be able to do in some of your day-to-day work when it comes to your 9-to-5 job. LinkedIn is also, as I've mentioned on this channel, where 80% of business-to-business leads are said to be generated from, which means that it is the leading platform for lead generation. This means that you could be building relationships on LinkedIn that actually also have a profitable commercial return for the organization that you work for. And if you are able to provide direct dollars back into the business that you work for, then you are increasing the value again that you have to that organization. And while you are increasing the commercial value and the relationship and network value that you bring to an organization, as well as that skills and expertise that you are demonstrating on LinkedIn, you become more valuable to your organization. So promotions and opportunities are going to be able to flow from there. As I've mentioned on this channel several times, the way that you can build your personal brand on LinkedIn is by publishing articles, publishing videos, publishing regular posts that not only speak to just your current title and your current organization, but to your industry at large. You're contributing to that greater conversation. And as you continue to build your personal brand on LinkedIn, you're also building the leverage that you have in your organization. My tip number 2 for building your brand as a middle manager is to build your brand internally. One of my favorite things that I used to do when I first started out in a middle manager role was I contributed weekly to a newsletter that went to hundreds of staff. And I wasn't even thinking about personal branding at the time. It wasn't even in my vocabulary at that stage of my career. But what I loved about doing something like this was that it held me accountable for my work and the team that I oversaw to the entire staff. And second, it also provided a means to address what can sometimes be a really prevalent issue of communication or lack of communication in an organisation. We can often hear people say that they weren't informed about something, or they felt like they were left out of the loop, or they had a lack of information about a particular project or activity. And by contributing to an all staff newsletter, this is just one small way that you are able to allow an organisation and the greater organisation outside of the team that you look after to get engaged and to understand the activities that you are working on. You can get them to buy into your strategies and that vision that you have for where you are going, or even just the more day-to-day operational activities that actually does affect their job in some way, or that they might just like to be across. So contribute to, if you have the opportunity, an all-staff newsletter for the area that you look after as a middle manager. Now, if you don't have an all-staff newsletter as a part of your organisation, consider if this is something that you could present as an opportunity for the organisation to start to do. And this shows your initiative in fostering communication and collaboration within the organisation. And if there maybe isn't the resources to be able to achieve this, you could potentially put your hand up to manage this and have this be a project that you can lead. That also gives you an opportunity to lead something in the organisation where you are collaborating with a lot of the other key stakeholders in the organisation. You become that point of contact for something that they could potentially be engaging with all the time. And if that isn't an option, consider what your alternatives are to contributing to a newsletter. Ideally, these could also be things that you do alongside a newsletter, even if you are already in that space to be able to contribute to a newsletter. So some of the other ideas that you could do is to contribute a weekly report or a weekly update to key stakeholders. This is something that I've also done in nearly all of my roles, outside of something that is published online in, say, a platform or in a more official email. I have contributed to emails or put together emails that go directly to key stakeholders across the entire organisation. So that might be from people in finance to leadership to operations, to ensure that they are across particular activities. Because you might not realise it, but people could have a really keen interest in this space that you operate. It may somehow affect their activities in a way that you don't understand, or they might just be interested in it in general. So think about if there is a weekly report or a weekly update, just in a really high level simplified form that you could send to key people, and take the initiative to do this without being asked to do so. Obviously, if you are sending it to senior people and you're maybe sending it beyond your current direct boss, just engage with your boss and make sure that they are happy with your idea to be able to communicate in this way going forward. Another way that you can also do this as well is that if you have a intranet as a part of your organization, you might contribute a regular update to your intranet or whatever that alternative all staff communication platform is. You might also do this on a project by project basis. So ideally this would be something that you can do weekly, so you have that consistency. Or you might, for example, have a post-analysis report related to particular activities. For example, when I worked in marketing, I would always do a post-campaign analysis report that I would also send out to key stakeholders after that campaign was complete. If you are able to do this, this is going to demonstrate your communication skills, particularly in written form, and your ability to analyze and think critically and to create engagement and excitement. But also don't forget about your opportunities to lead offline as well when it comes to your internal organization. And some of the ways that you can do this is by participating in, say, task force that might be set up for particular activities or committees. You might not be directly asked to contribute to those committees or be a part of it, but wherever you can, put up your hand to be involved in those things, or even to lead some of those groups, because those groups, like a task force or a committee, are usually going to be comprised of people that are across the organization. So it gives you a chance to not only expose your capabilities and your skills to those key people, but to also, more importantly, build relationships with those people and to foster that cross-functional collaboration, as well as you contribute to broader organizational goals, which is what your employers will love to see. And tip number 3 is to build your personal brand externally. Now, it is important, as I've mentioned, to build your personal brand internally, because it shows that you're not just focused on building your personal brand in the industry. It shows that you are focused on the contributions that you are making to your organization, the people that pay your salary. But don't be so focused on only contributing to your 9 to 5 that you forget about that bigger contribution to the broader industry or to the community. So that is what I mean by focusing as well as a middle manager on building your personal brand externally. And by this, I don't mean just building your personal brand online, like we have already covered. I mean thinking about particularly those face-to-face opportunities or other things that you can do for the industry at large, as opposed to just posting online or what you are doing in your 9 to 5. For example, do you participate in committees or a task force that is related to your industry as a whole? Are you working with other members of other organisations in some particular objective? Are you a member of organisations or associations that are an overarching body in your industry? Are you taking this opportunity, now that you are in a middle manager role, to mentor other people? Are you a part of a mentoring program? Or are you a part of committees in your industry or things that relate to your community? One of the ways that you could do this, for example, and something I have also done in my career, is give back to my alumni network, particularly for my MBA. I was actively involved in my MBA Alumni Network Committee. I was president of the Alumni Network, and I'm also a part of the mentoring program in the MBA. So if you have had any sort of formal qualification, your Alumni Network could be a great place to start, because they often have a lot of these structured programs that you could potentially be a part of, or they might be something that you have that you're particularly passionate about in your industry or in your community that you could contribute to. But this is something that I do often see as a missed opportunity for a lot of middle managers and even a lot of senior managers as they progress in their career, particularly when you're comparing, say, 2 resumes or 2 profiles of great candidates. It can often be that a lot of focus has been placed primarily on that person's contribution to their 9 to 5. They put their heart and soul into excelling in their 9 to 5, which is really admirable. But when you compare that to someone who has done the same thing, but has also contributed to their industry and their community at large, it just becomes this nice point of differentiation that gives you a slight edge in the marketplace. And again, if you are respected and valued in your marketplace, then you become more valuable to your organization. And my tip number 4 is to create a portfolio of proof, or a digital home for your professional personal brand. I've talked about this a lot on this channel because I think too many professionals miss out on the opportunity to build a portfolio. They think that this is something that is just reserved for creatives like graphic designers or architects or anyone with a real visual brand, or for, say, writers, for example. But not enough people leverage the opportunity that they have to do this for themselves. Now, again, your portfolio when it comes to your professional brand can be where you have a culmination combination of the articles that you have written, maybe the blog posts that you have written, and somewhere that people can go to access all of these things. Now, obviously, your LinkedIn profile is a place that you can do this easily. You might also publish, as I mentioned, videos on your LinkedIn profile. But the thing about building your professional personal brand on any sort of external third party platform is that you are building on borrowed land. You never actually know where that platform could potentially go in the future, if it's going to remain as relevant or if it's going to become redundant, or if something might happen to your account and if you may have any issues in that going forward. So a better insurance policy when it comes to your personal brand is to make sure that you are also creating a home that you have more control over. And one of the most obvious ways to do this is by having a personal brand website. This not only shows your passion for your profession, it shows your willingness to do the things that other people aren't willing to do when it comes to your industry and your skills and expertise and the knowledge that you want to share with other people as well. And sometimes it can just be those little things that differentiate you from the rest of the marketplace for those opportunities going forward. It can give you that slight edge. And this idea of a slight edge is something that really resonated with me when I read Jeff Olson's book, The Slight Edge, where he talks about that willingness to be able to do what other people aren't willing to do. And sometimes it isn't these quantum leaps that get us to where we want to go, but actually those daily disciplines done over time that compound to that successful result that we are looking for in our lives. So think about how you can build that slight edge of your professional personal brand every day by doing those little things that other people aren't willing to do. If you want to learn more about the unfair advantage that you already have in the marketplace, then check out my previous episode on this topic. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.